Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is second lesson for Microsoft Access. In this lesson, I will talk about importing tables from Microsoft Excel. Let us open a blank database. Then now we can start to design the tables. There is a good option when you have some tables in Microsoft Excel. Instead of designing the table and spending some time then going to use, for example, copy and paste for the data, it's easier for you to directly import the tables as they are from Microsoft Excel. In order to do so, let us go to external data, then you click on import and link, then you go to Excel. So when you click on the import and link, you get external data for Microsoft Excel. Wizard is showing. You have three options. There is import the source data into a new table in the current database, and there is append a copy of the records to the table, and there is link the data source by creating a linked table. The first option is allowing you to import the table or tables as they are. So you just get a true copy of the data from Microsoft Excel as table in Microsoft Access database. The second option, the append, it means simply that you have already some table in Microsoft Access which looks the same construction for the table in Microsoft Excel. Then you need just to add some data from this Microsoft Excel table to the existing table in Microsoft Access. It means that you are just adding some data to an existing table. When you go to the third option, it doesn't mean that you are going to get the table from Microsoft Excel and then you have nothing to do with Microsoft Excel. It means that you are getting a link to this data in Microsoft Excel as a table in Microsoft Access. But if there is any change in the data in Microsoft Excel later on, it will be automatically reflected to Microsoft Access. So this means that you can still continue your work on Microsoft Excel while you are getting the data synchronized automatically with Microsoft Access. So the third option is allowing you to link the data between Microsoft Excel and Access. So for example, if you have some work on Microsoft Excel and there are some people working on this Excel workbook or worksheets, so they can continue the same work on Microsoft Excel while you get the data synchronized automatically to Microsoft Access. And this is a good option when you need to continue your work on Microsoft Excel at the same time to get some database on Microsoft Access. Now we are going to use the first option. Then you click on browse to specify where is the file. Here you have to understand that if you opened any file from the internet or from the email, then don't expect that when you click on browse that you can find it. Normally you won't be able to find that file. So you have to save this file first on your local drive. Yes, the file is already existing, but it is very difficult for you to find this file because it is stored in some temp folder. Now go to browse and say that I am going to find this file. I put it on drive C and put it in some folder called practice. So this is the Excel workbook. Now you click and go to open. So you click OK. Now you see that I have the 3 worksheets are shown here. So I'm going to import the cells. Then go to next. Now it's asking you first row contains column headings. Yes, this is true. So you have to leave it selected, otherwise the program will not recognize the headings for this table.
Yes.
So in this step, first row contains column headings is correct, as you see. Then you go to next. Just here you can review the data types. It's not necessary that you do any action, you just review. For example, the sales ID is coming like double. Is correct, means number. Sales name is coming like text. Date of birth is coming like date and time. Maybe you will wonder that why do you see the date of birth is coming as a number, then you see that the data type is date and time. In fact, this is because Microsoft Excel is treating dates as numbers, and this is starting from 1st January 1900. So when you come to this number 27,273, it means that how many days passed since 1st January 1900, and this is equivalent to some date. It's just a matter of changing the format to date and time. Then you go to next. Now it's asking you about the primary key. Well, the primary key in Microsoft Access is mainly the field or the column which contains data, and this data is not duplicated. It means that you are not allowed to duplicate this data. So for example, when you talk about the sales ID, the sales ID, it means the ID number for the salesperson. So as you see, they are from 1 to 10. This is not serial number. So when you come to the sales ID, do you think that you can have 2 salespersons with the same sales ID? No, it's not possible. So if you are entering data for sales, then you can by mistake to enter the sales ID two times, then simply the program will not accept this data entry. So this is a big benefit of specifying the primary key. It's not accepting duplicates, so it's preventing or saving you from mistyping and getting wrong results because of that. Practically 2 people may have the same name, but practically also 2 people in the same organization may not have the same ID number. Then now you have 3 options. Let access add primary key. It will add, as you see yourself here, a new ID column in the beginning. Or the second option, which is correct in our situation, choose my own primary key, which is the sales ID, or no primary key if you don't like to have a primary key, and even you can work without primary key. It's not a part of Microsoft Access, so if you did not specify primary key, it means that you cannot work. No, you can already have a good results without primary key, but the primary key has a lot of advantages. Then go to next. Now this is the table name like sales, we can leave it as it is. Then go to next, then close. So now we got the sales, as you see, sales table in Microsoft Access. Now let us repeat the same steps. Go to external data, Excel, browse, select the file, then OK. This time we will go to customers table, next. First row contains column headings, yes, then next. then the available data types, they are correct. Next, choose my own primary key. It is already customer ID. This is the same idea, because if you have a table for customers in your organization, so it makes sense that when you come to the customer ID, they should not be the same like each other. So this is a unique value. That's why we specify it as the primary key. Then go to next, then leave it as it is, then go to finish, then close. So we got the customers table now. Then let us repeat the same steps. Go to external data, Excel, browse, specify the file, click OK. Now let us import the source. Go to next, then check the data type. Okay, they are correct. Go to next. Now come to my own primary key. You see that in our example we have the sales ID and customer ID. So now when you come to the primary key part, you see that you have let access, choose my own primary key. As you see here, we have the customer ID and sales ID. You have to think of this table, the source table, as a transactions table. Transactions table means that you already have one table for sales persons, which contains the sales ID, as you see yourself, and you have another table for customers, which contains the customer ID, as also you see that yourself in the customers table. Then say that we have another table which contains the daily or weekly or monthly transactions by sales people. So each transaction will contain the customer ID and the sales ID who made this transaction, and the sales representative, for example, and customer name, then product A sales, product B, product C, and also the transaction date. So you can say that the ID number for the transaction, which is the serial number for the transaction, will be considered as the primary key. So the primary key here is the ID number of the transaction. It's not the customer ID and it's not the sales ID. Even you see that we inserted already the sales ID and customer ID, but do you think that they are called here primary key? The answer is no. The sales ID in the source table is not the primary key, so it is called foreign key. As well, the customer ID. The customer ID is the primary key in the customers table, but when you come to the source table, that other table which contains the customer ID as a part of it, it is not called the primary key, but here you simply call it the foreign key. Now we go to next, then import to table is okay, then go to close. So now we got the customers and sales and source in our database, 3 tables. So let us start to make a query. The query is reading from one or more tables, and it can give you information from more than one table. For example, when you look at the source table, you see that it contains the customer ID, sales ID, the sales representative name, the customer name, product A sales, product B sales, product C, and transaction date for this transaction. And when you look at the sales table, it contains the salesperson name and date of birth and category for this sales and the area and the volume. So now assume that we want to show the area of each transaction. Now this area is already a part of the sales table. So in order to make some update to this source table and show the area for each transaction, it means that we will take the area from the sales table. That will be based on what? Based on the sales ID. And also, when you look at the source table, it contains the customer ID and the customer name as well. Say that when you go to the customers table, it show the activity. So what if you want to have the activity for the same customer as well? So now what we want to do is to make some query which is showing the source table information and the area information from the sales table and the activity information from the customers table. So how to do this? In order to make a query, you go to create menu, then go to query design. The query design will come with show table. The show table here is simply showing you the available tables in your database. So let us double click on the table, double click on sales, double click on customers, so they are now in the query design window. Then you go to close. So now what we want to do is we want to show this information from this source table in addition to the area from the sales table, in addition to the activity from customers. But in order to do this, you must have a relationship first. So you cannot get information from more than one table without relationship, because simply when you want to get the area for each transaction, so area based on what? Based on that the sales ID is the same sales ID. That's why when you get the area for this sales ID, you get the correct area. The same is going on for the customers. When you are going to get the activity for each customer and you want to attach or to add it to this source, so how to do this? If the computer is not recognizing that the customer ID is the same customer ID, then how can you get the correct activity for each customer? So in order to start the query, we have first to define the relationship, and it's very simple. We have a relationship between sales ID and sales ID. Then you simply click on the sales ID, use drag and drop, and you send it to what? To drag to the sales ID. So this line is showing a relationship. In order to make sure that it's correct, you can simply double click on the line. So it will show that you are having a relationship between sales ID and sales ID in the two tables. Then you click OK. It's correct. So now let us define the relationship between the source and customer. Simply we have the customer ID and we relate it or map it to what? To the customer ID. So again, now we got another relationship. Now let us double click to make sure, yes, it's correct. we are already making a relationship between customer ID and customer ID, then click OK. So after making the relationship, you simply start to show the fields in your query. So now we have defined the relationship between the sales ID to the sales ID and the customer ID to the customer ID. There is no need to make more than this without reason. So you have to be careful. If you made a wrong relationship, this simply means that you will not get correct result. So now in order to show the fields in the query, you simply double click. For example, come to the ID, double click. It goes down. Double click the customer ID, double click the sales ID, double click sales representative, double click customer, then double click product A, product B, product C, transaction date. Then you can double click from the sales the area, then you can double click the activity from the customers. So now it's done. You get already the query. If you want to see how it looks like a table. You click on the view as a data sheet. So now as you see, we got already the information from the 3 tables in one table called query. So now we can save it. When you click Ctrl S means save. Say that you save it as all data. So now when you look at the screen, you see that we have one query called all data. So what if you want now to get some of the data? Now simply you have already the query which is reading from all from the 3 tables, and it contains or it shows all records. So there is no exception here. Now let us try to make some filter and see how. When you come to the sales representative, you see that there is Miss, Mr., Mrs. Okay. Say that we want to only show all the names which are starting with Mr. Means what? Means simply MR dot. So we want to start with MR dot. This is the meaning of all names start with Mr. So how to do this? Let us go to the design view. Then you click or you put the cursor in under the checkbox. The next line under the checkbox is the criteria line. Here you can type your criteria. The criteria will be MR dot, then asterisk or star. Now if you click the tab key, well, we define it between 2 quotation marks because it contains dot. So it is MR dot star, then close quotation mark. Now as you see, it is converted to like operator. Like operator means that you are getting the result of some part of the text, not the whole text. That's why it shows like. Now if you click on the view, you see that only names starting with Mr. are shown. So in order to save this work, now you see that what happened, that we worked on the old data query, but we made some change. So now instead of designing a new query and making this query coming with MR or Mr. only, we simply click on F12 means save as, and we can save it as MR or Mr. Then you click OK. So now we see that we got a different query called MR. So when you double click on the old data, you see that the first one remained the same. It show all records, 500 records. Okay. Now let us make another query which is showing this name, Jamal. Well, in fact, we wanted to show the result for the sales representative which contains Jamal. So what does this mean? This means simply that anything coming before Jamal and after Jamal has to be shown. So the criteria is take the name Jamal and anything before and anything after. This is the meaning of containing Jamal, because simply if you specify Jamal then you put star, like what we put on mr dot star, that will assume that Jamal is in the beginning of line, but Jamal is not in the beginning of line. Jamal is in the middle. It can be the end of line or even the beginning of line. So in order to get all results which are showing Jamal, you simply put star before and star after. So let us see how. When you go to view, you see that sales representative has no criteria because I told you that we used save as. Now what we'll do is you can put these quotation marks, then you type star, then type Jamal, then star again, then quotation mark. So it's now converted to the like operator. Again, like between two quotation marks, star Jamal star. When you look at the result, you see that it shows all names contains Jamal. So you click on F12, then you can save it as Jamal. So you got another query called Jamal. Now let us go back to all data and say that we want to show in the product A sales all results which are greater than 4,000. So let us go to design view, then under product A you simply type greater than 4,000. Then when you click on the view, you see that all results, only results greater than 4,000 are shown. So you click on F12, then you give it the name like greater than 4,000. So we got another query. Now let us go back to the old data and say that under product B we want to show all results which are between 3,000 and 5,000. So now you go to the design view and under product B you simply type between 3,000 and 5,000. When you click the tab key, you see that it becomes the criteria. Now when you go to the view menu, you see that only values in product B between 3,000 and 5,000 are shown. So we can F12 and between 3,000 as a name. Now go again to all data, say that this time we want to make filter to show some transaction dates. So these dates are what? Between 1st February 2016 and 1st April 2016. 1st February 2016, according to the system format, will not be 1/2/2016, but it has to be 2/1/2016. So now let us click on the design view and go to the transaction date. Let us make this criteria more tight. Make it between 1st February 2016 and 15th February 2016. so it will be also between 2/1/2016 and what, 15 February 2016 means 2/15/2016. So now, as you see yourself, once you click the tab key, you will find the hash key before and after. This is the format of the dates in Microsoft Access. Then when you click on the view, you see that only values between 1st February and 15 February are shown as a result. Then we can click on F12 and call it between February. So now we got all these queries in addition to the first one. So we used save as to get a new version of this query. So now we got these three tables by importing from Microsoft Excel, and we designed some simple queries, as you see. So now let us design some simple data entry form. Say that we will go double click the sales table and say that we want to add or to use the data entry by form, not by table. Then you go to create menu, you simply click the form. You'll see that it will be converted automatically to a data entry form. The data entry form has three views: form view, layout view, design view. The form view is, when you click on it, you see that this is the form. So you can now change. For example, you want to come to this name, Mr. Ahmad Ali, then Salim. So you can work on it. You come to a date of birth. If you want to change it, you can change it. So now this is a data entry form, okay, using the form view. In the layout view, you can make some changes to the look. Here it is showing you how it looks like, but it's not working as a form. For example, say that here you want to separate the sales ID by this way, make it sales ID. Then you come to the change also, you come to the format, then maybe you want to make it bold, and you change the font color. You come here and change the fill. So you can make some changes, okay. In addition to this, when you go to the home menu, then you go to design view. Here you see that there are more things to be done with the form. For example, if you put the cursor here and you type sales data entry form, then you can change the background. When you go to the format, you see this is the fill of the form. Say that you change it to this color. Then maybe you need to put some to add some photo or something like this. So for example, if you go to Microsoft Word, then say that you need to take some picture. Let us use some simple picture from Microsoft Word. When you go to the insert in Microsoft Word, in the shapes, maybe you can design simple look like this. Then we can change it, and you can type this is picture. Then you can go to the effects, so you can make some changes, you can make some effects. Then say that also in the same menu you can go to change shape. Say that we decided to take this shape instead, and we decided to change the outline, shape outline. Then we decided to go to the fill as gradient, then go to more, then you increase the size, change it like this, then make a little rotation, so now we can use this one. If we go to Control N, means a new file, then we click on insert, screenshot, then screen clipping. The current window will be minimized and this window will be shown. So let us take this part as a picture now. It will be inserted as picture, and we can also have some effect on that, like this or this. You see that some effects can be done by this way. Now if you use copy, then you go to access database and you click here, then you go for paste. So it becomes very simple way. So you can take this one as what is a, for example, logo, and you can even highlight all this. Then you make it one time bold, then you change the color, the font color. Then you can also fill, okay. Then you can come here, and in the format you can change the fill to a white color. Now when you click on the view as a data sheet, as a form view, you see that we have already some changes. Then we can now go again to the design view to draw some buttons. Look, when you click on the button, you can simply draw. Then the wizard will come here and ask you command button wizard. In the record navigation, say that we will make it go to first record, then go to next, next, finish. Then let us design another one or draw another button here. So make it what? Go to last record, next, next, finish. So let us make a new one, draw another one. Go to last, next record, next, next, finish. Then draw another one here. Go to previous record, next, next, finish. So now we have 4 buttons. Then we can click here outside and drag the mouse over all these controls in order to highlight or to select them. Then you can right click and go for align top. So as you see, they are now all in the same line. Say that you can move them here. Then you can put another button here to close the form, for example here. Then when you draw it, you go in the wizard to the form operations, then you go to close form, next, next, finish. So it becomes the close form. So now if you go to the view menu, you see that this is the first record and this is the last record. So again, first record, then go to next record, next, 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 previous, previous, previous. Then here you can close the form. So you'll get the message, do you want to save? Yes. Note, in Microsoft Access you are not saving the data, you are saving the design. That's why when you make any change in the table or query or form or report design, then you have to save the design. But when you make a data entry, you do not save the data. Then click yes, call it sales, yes. So now we see that we have a new data entry form called sales. When you double click it, you see that it's working. Then you can simply close it, or you can make any other changes. If you need to go to the, in the home menu, go to the design view, so you can make another changes if you like. Then simply you can after that close it. Now let us get some report. Well, in fact, when we have, for example, this data between 3000, you see that you have already some data here. So what if you want to show this data to someone or to send it to someone? And instead of sending it as table, maybe you want to send it as PDF file. So this is some convenient way. When you go to create, you simply click on the report, then it will automatically convert this query to a report. When you click on this drop down, you see that you have the report view, print preview, layout and design. Let us go for the print preview. The print preview is showing you how this data will look like if you print it out. So you can make some changes. For example, change the margins to a narrow margins, change the page layout to a landscape look instead of portrait. So you can have some. Also, you can simply go to the design view if you like, then you can make another changes for sure. For now, we will just go to print preview. Then you have the option to click on this PDF or XPS. It will simply generate a copy as PDF file from this report. Now if you specify this file name or PDF file name, when you go to publish, then simply you will get automatically the PDF file which contains this data. If you go to the folder in Drive C which contains the practice, you see that we have now new PDF file. That PDF file will show the report as it is. So it is an easy and convenient way to send your work to others, because consider that when you have some work on Microsoft Access, then you want to send the result to someone, it's not necessary that you send the database. Some people doesn't have Microsoft Access database, and if the users are working on Mac PCs, then they will not be able in normal situation to open or use Microsoft Access database because it is not supported in Office for Mac. So this is the end of this second question. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.